Now India's UPI is going to be international. Non-Indians, Indians who live outside India, now with the help of UPI will be able to transfer money. 2023's start can't be better than this, but there is one more strategy that India is working on in the background. There's an action plan through which not only UPI, but our Indian rupee can become international too. Today the Indian rupee needs to be transformed to go international. In today's video, step by step we will understand a complex idea that how one currency becomes an international currency. And if you like this video, then do share it with your friends. So, what is an international currency? In a few countries, if you are short in that country's currency and need to pay for even a taxi, you can pay the taxi fare if you have US dollars, and that's completely fine for the drivers. It's not about just the taxi, it's about every shop there who are ready to sell things in US dollars. In fact, they even prefer the US dollar over their own currency. Why so? Because in many other countries, with their own currency, other currencies have some value too. US dollar is an international currency. An international currency is a currency that can be used for trade with multiple other countries. It is also known as actively traded currency. You must have read in history that there was no currency before. People used the barter system. For example, I'll grow tomatoes on my farm, and if I need wheat, then I used to give my tomatoes and take wheat in return. But it had many limitations. That's why people made currency. This piece of paper. Whenever this paper gets exchanged, one more thing gets exchanged, and that is trust. In that sense, even I can print a piece of paper like this, and can put any amount on that. But the problem is, only I will have trust in it. And if I trust it or not, how does it matter? On a currency, you need other people to trust it. The more traders trust it, the more value it will have. A currency has no value without trust. Let's take that tomato and wheat example again and apply it in today's world. Suppose India buys tea from Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka buys sugar from China. Now Sri Lanka will accept payment in a currency which can be used in the future, which China will accept later. Or else Sri Lanka will just have some Gandhi pictures stored, which they won't be able to use. Let's rewind a bit. Due to colonization, in world trade, the British pound had become an international currency, and in 1944, after the Bretton Woods Agreement, all major countries decided that the US dollar will become a standard. The world runs on oil, and in 1973, America convinced OPEC countries to accept payment in dollars only. In this one moment, America became a superpower. Today, the US dollar, euro, Japanese yen, and British pound, and to some extent even the Chinese yuan comes in the category of international currencies. Because apart from their own country, other countries value their currency. So, why should the rupee go international, when we already have dollars and other currency? You must have read it in the news. India's forex reserves have fallen to the lowest level. When the dollar's rate keeps increasing, then the RBI, from their reserves, starts selling dollars, so that the supply is increased and the rate lowers down. In 2022, the RBI spent more than $40 billion for keeping rupee stable. Today the situation is that India is a net importer country. This means overall our imports are way higher than our exports, and for all these imported goods, we have to pay in dollars. The difference between this import and export is known as trade deficit. In the month of October alone, our trade deficit was $26.91 billion. No matter how many Atmanirbhar Bharat slogans we raise, the truth is that our imports won't decrease. And due to this in the future, dollar's price is only going to increase. But there is hope. Hope for the Indian rupee. We analyzed India's trade data for the past few years, and a hopeful number came in front. There are 154 countries with whom India's exports are more than its imports. This is a fact that a country like China will never agree to trade in rupees, and even trying to convince them of this is a waste. But countries such as Bangladesh and Sri Lanka can agree. In fact, it has agreed too. Sri Lanka has agreed to trade with India in rupee, and both countries benefit from this. If Sri Lanka doesn't have dollars today, then it can pay in Indian rupees. Similarly, America has put sanctions on Russia, so they can't trade in dollars. The Sri Lankan rupee in dollar comparison has gone down by 84%, and only 70% in comparison to the Indian rupee. So for them, buying the rupee is cheaper than buying dollars. America keeps an eye on each dollar spent outside its country too. It regulates and controls it. So Russia started trading with China in yuan, and after the Russia-Ukraine conflict, trade has increased between Russia and China. This is similar in Russia's matter with India too, where trading in the rupee can happen. By rupee becoming international, India will of course benefit, but two types of countries will benefit from it a lot. Countries like Sri Lanka, which do not have dollars, and countries like Russia, which cannot trade in dollars. Let's understand how trade happens in today's world. Let's assume B is a car dealer in India, who is importing cars from dealer A in France. Now for payment, B will go to his Indian bank with his Indian rupees. Indian bank will convert it into euros and pay it to the foreign bank. Then the foreign bank will transfer euros to France's dealer A, and then the cars will be shipped from France to India. Now, this situation is going to change. The RBI has started a special Vostro account system. Here, foreign banks can open Indian rupee accounts for trade. Suppose France opens a Vostro account with SBI now. When the Indian dealer B imports cars from France, he doesn't have to pay in euros, but instead can pay in rupees only. These payments are to be done not in a foreign bank, but in India's SBI itself. In this Vostro account of France, Indian rupees will be deposited. Then what will they do with those rupees? France can spend the rupees from its Vostro account on exporters in India by buying goods from them. This means Indian exporters will also get paid in Indian rupees only, and Indian money won't go out of India, and the trust is increased with more traders. And that's the plan. There are 35 countries today. They are ready to trade in rupee. If India is successful in achieving this, then in this decade, it will be the biggest international win for India. The real challenge. Convincing countries like Russia and Sri Lanka is possible, and work is going on in that direction. But convincing countries like Saudi Arabia and UAE is difficult, because in the whole financial year, after all the trade is done between UAE and India, there is a $12 billion surplus. Between Saudi and India, there is a $20 billion surplus. In simple language, we exchanged our tomatoes for their wheat, and even after that, we bought more wheat worth $12 billion and $20 billion from them. Today these payments are done in dollars, so they can use these dollars anywhere. They can give it to any other country. They can invest anywhere else, or they can buy assets from them. But if this excess money is left with them in rupees, then what's the use of it for them? This is a big challenge for India, for which RBI and government both have to bring huge policy changes, and we have to reduce our trade deficit. Basically, we have to increase our exports. And apart from trade, how can rupee be used? We have to think about that. Foreign investors need to be incentivized for making rupee investments in India. Now, is it so simple? If all these things can be explained in a 10-minute video, then why does India not do anything? The answer is, talking is easier, but executing those things is equally hard. Let's take China's example. China has been trying to do all these things since 2009 itself, but till now has reduced only 2% of the US dollar's share. The US dollar is not just a currency, it's a weapon for America. Its dominance is so huge that the US dollar can be spent throughout the world and is controlled by the US Fed, which is America's central bank. If tomorrow they put sanctions on India, then even we won't be able to buy oil in dollars. Already oil prices are increasing, and they will increase more. So to pay other countries in dollars, we will buy more dollars. Today, the dollar's price is rupees 82. Experts say that this number can go up to 100 rupees. And here, India may commit one big mistake of not taking the right steps in time. If you got any value from this video, if you have learned something new, then do share it with your friends, because the truth is, the whole world is going through an economic crisis. It was started in 2020, but when will it end? No one knows. Like Pakistan and Sri Lanka, India's economy is also under pressure, and will this pressure strengthen us or break us? Only time can tell this. Thanks for watching.